Welcome to another episode of Getting Funded in the 2024 series. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of breaker blocks and why you need to understand them. The reason why you need to understand them and why you need to know what a breaker block is and why you need to know how to identify them is because moving forward in the series from here on out, I'm going to be showing you guys a strategy that you guys should be using in 2024 to get funded, and you guys need to know what breaker blocks are, how to identify them, what is a bearish and what is a bullish breaker block. So, hope you guys are enjoying the series so far, and let's get right into it. So as you guys can see here, I have an example of a bearish breaker block. This example here is a bearish breaker block. I will show you guys a bullish breaker block illustration here just by inverting it, but in a sense, I'm going to be trying to explain what a bearish breaker block is. Very, very simple, so that way you guys understand how to identify them and how to spot them. For a bearish breaker block, it's very, very simple to understand. All you need is a short-term high, short-term low, and then another higher high, right, that runs the stops on the short-term high, and then you want a break of structure or a break of the swing low, which is going to be, in a lot of times, it needs to be the last down close candle or the last bearish candle of the price leg that ran the stops on the short-term high, right? And in this price leg, you need to have like some sort of break of structure or just some sort of break on this swing low here that caused a purge on this short-term high. So you'll have a swing low here that caused a higher high, and you need to have a break of structure in this next price leg right here to be considered a breaker block. Now, this is a bearish breaker block example. So for a bullish breaker example, it's basically inverted. You want a short-term low, short-term high, and then you want that high to cause a new low and run the stops on that short-term low. And then you want some sort of break of structure or price to start changing the state of delivery. Okay, you want a break of structure. You want price to get above this swing high that caused that new low, that caused the purge on stops on this short-term low, and that is going to be your bullish breaker block. Okay, I'm going to be showing you guys examples on the real charts. These are just illustrations that I wanted to bring to your attention, so that way, you know, it's simple to understand. It's not super hard to understand the breaker block concept, but it is very important that you guys understand what breaker blocks are and how to identify them, because moving forward, again, I'm going to be showing you guys a lot of examples with breaker blocks and stuff like that. So that is pretty much what a bearish breaker block is and what a bullish breaker block is. These are very, very important to understand. Again, ICT has even said that breaker blocks are pretty much like the fucking icing on the cupcake. Okay, so let's go into some live examples so I could show you guys what breaker blocks are on the actual chart, and that way hopefully you guys can identify them in your live charts and in your back testing data. So let's go ahead and go into the live charts so I can show you guys what breaker blocks are. And really quick, I just want to show you guys something, because even after this video ends, maybe some of you guys are still going to have some difficulty trying to find breaker blocks on your guys' charts. Now, there is an indicator that sometimes I do use and sometimes I have it on, because I'm not really looking for breaker blocks all the freaking time. But when they appear, this indicator is helpful. Okay, so the indicator, and this is not sponsored by the way, the indicator is breaker blocks with signals by Lux Algo. I'll go ahead and put my settings here on the screen so that way you guys could get the indicator. You just go to indicators, you type in breaker blocks with signals by Lux Algo. That's the one I have on sometimes, and you guys could just go ahead and copy these settings. It's nothing crazy. It just shows you where breaker blocks are. And I'll go ahead and show you guys for the first example, the breaker block and how it shows on the charts and stuff. But if you guys can't really spot breaker blocks on your own, then this is a really good indicator to have, just to have on your chart, so that way it pops up the breaker blocks when there is a breaker block. So really recommend this indicator here. Again, it's not sponsored. It's just something to help the beginners. If you guys can't really spot the breaker blocks right after this video, it's going to take a little bit of practice, but this indicator will help you guys. So let's go ahead and move on to the video. All right, guys. So the first example of a breaker block that I'm going to show you here, guys, is on ES chart. So the first example of this breaker block that I'm going to show you guys here, I don't know if you guys could spot it right away or not. It is in here in this consolidation range right here. If you guys can spot it, I'll give you guys a little bit, like 5 seconds to try to spot it on where it is. This is the 1 hour chart. Try to spot it. Again, it's in this little consolidation right here. Give you guys about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the first breaker block example that I'm going to show you guys is this one right here. So this is a breaker block. The reason why it's a breaker block is because, again, guys, you have your high, you have your run on stops right there. You guys see that right there. This is the last bearish candle before making a new high and running those stops right there. Right, we have a high, we have a lower low, last bearish candle, runs up, takes out stops, breaks that low right there, okay? And look where price comes back to, right? Price comes right to the low of that bearish breaker block, literally taps the low of it to a tick. This is not random, this is algorithmic, okay? Taps the low of that breaker block. Look at that. Taps the low of that. What is the high here? Let's see. The high of this candle comes in at 48.28. What's the low of this candle? The low of this candle here, of the breaker block low, is 48.28. So literally taps it to a tick, and then you have a huge run on stops, and then it just melts. And this was during London session. So yeah, that is the first example of the breaker block and how powerful breaker blocks are, right? Again, guys, you have your high, low, right? Runs the stops on that low, high, lower low, higher high, breaks that low on this next price leg, returns back up to that breaker block, boom, taps the bottom of it, and then melts, okay? And then even if I turn on this indicator that I showed you guys, the breaker blocks with signals by Lux Algo, it even marks the breaker block there. So very useful indicator. Again, if you guys can't identify these breaker blocks right away, turn this on and it'll automatically mark them for you. So something to help out the beginners. Now, here's an example of a bullish breaker block. Now, this actually happened the other week. So a bullish breaker block, again, is the last down close candle before price takes out that low. So here is the last up close candle. Sorry, I said down close, but the last up close candle, the last bullish candle before taking out the low. So we had relative equal lows right here. We ended up taking it right here, and this was the short-term high right there, and then we obviously broke that short-term high. Now we have like a break of structure, and now this would be considered your bullish breaker block. Now you notice how the bodies of the candle barely close below it, and then we start respecting the bullish breaker block here, and then we start gunning towards, you know, external liquidity. Now, when you have two candles paired up like this, you can technically use both candles for the bullish or bearish breaker block. You could technically use two candles like this. So if you had two bullish candles and then you had that run on the low there, on the short-term low, and then you had that break of structure, you technically can use both of these bullish candles and use it as like one bullish breaker block. You can use that. Most of the time I just use that last bullish candle or bearish candle, whatever, you know, situation I'm in. But you can, when it's grouped up like that, when you have two candles like this and it's grouped up, you can use both candles for a breaker block and it's still considered valid. But most of the time I just use that last bullish or last bearish candle of that short-term swing higher low. So that is an example of a bullish breaker block, and as you can see, respected it and it pushed up. But yeah, guys, it's super simple to understand. Breaker blocks are not hard to understand. They're very, very easy to spot and understand. It's not super complicated. It's not rocket science, because when you start understanding this setup that I'm going to be showing you guys and the strategy that I'm going to be showing you guys, if you guys haven't seen it on my channel already, but the strategy that I'm going to be showing you guys is basically super simple. And you will start to notice these breaker blocks with this strategy. And it's going to be super simple, guys. Don't stress about it. Go and back test and try to find these breaker blocks on your own. Again, look at the beginning of this video. It's super simple, laid out. That's how you find a bullish and bearish breaker block. It's not really hard. But yeah, guys, it's super, super simple to understand. You guys should not overcomplicate this at all. Now, I'm going to show you guys one more example before I let you off this video. So on the daily chart on NASDAQ, you could have caught a very, very crazy swing long here just using the breaker. So if you guys see the breaker, let me know. If you guys, I'm gonna let you guys I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds to spot the bullish breaker here. Okay. Now, did you guys spot it? So the bullish breaker that I'm referring to is this one right here. So again, guys, it's the last bullish candle right? For a bullish breaker example, it's the last bullish candle of the price level that takes out the lows. So you have your swing high, you have your swing low, and then it breaks structure, right? You could start to anticipate breaker blocks too. Once you guys start getting a little more advanced and stuff, you guys can start to anticipate where a bullish breaker or a bearish breaker is going to form, because again, you need to understand drawn liquidity, higher time frame narrative, and then once you understand those two things, you can start to anticipate, okay, this is where, we're having speed and displacement. This is where price is going to go. So now I can anticipate that this is probably going to be a bullish breaker. You guys notice how we didn't break the structure yet, but the bodies of the candles are respecting the bottom of that bullish breaker. And then we also have a fair value gap there, which is the setup and the strategy I'm going to be teaching you guys in the next video. So that is what a bullish and breaker block is. I hope you guys understand. Hope I simplified it in a way that you guys can go and back test on your charts. Again, guys, you guys need to go back test so that way you guys can spot these bullish and bearish breaker blocks, okay? So hope you guys understood what a breaker block is and how to spot and identify them, because it is very important for the strategy that we are going to be talking about. Again, guys, don't stress it. You guys are going to be able to spot these very, very quickly once you guys start back testing and live testing and focusing on this one strategy, one model. Once you guys start focusing on just this, you guys are going to be spotting breaker blocks all fucking day long. So let's get into the next episode. I'm very excited to share with you the strategy and the model that you guys should be adopting to get funded in 2024. So let's go.